Hey folks, this is Kelani. We know what kinds of events will be underway once the battle for Azeroth is right on our doorstep. It looks like we've got an amazing pre-patch to look forward to filled with story events, cinematics, and explanations for how and why the two factions are back at each other's throats. Among these events is the burning of Teldrassil and the battle for Lordaeron. While the burning of Teldrassil remains more of a mystery, the battle for Lordaeron event was added to the alpha build in a recent update and has been opened up for testing. So we're going to take a peek at how things are shaping up both on the story front as well as the gameplay elements involved in the actual event. Because this event can be played by both the Horde and the Alliance, we'll take a look at each side and make a note of any significant differences. I can tell you that they do play out slightly differently, but tell the same story and end up at the same place. Obviously this is going to be chock-a-block with spoilers for the story of the battle for Lordaeron and the start of the next expansion, so ye be warned, there's spoilers afoot. If you're curious about how many spoilers, we can play through the entire event it would seem, but most of the key parts are actually told during cinematics, which aren't available on the alpha. That means we have huge gaps missing until those cinematics are available, which is most likely not going to be until this event is actually live. So we have the bread and maybe a little bit of lettuce for our story sandwich, but we're missing all of the meat. But enough rambling, let's go ahead and check out the Horde side of the story first. So when this event goes live, you'll automatically get a quest from Lady Sylvanas, which takes you to Orgrimmar. You can talk to the undead mage there to grab a portal over to the Undercity where the siege has already started. That puts you in the queue for a scenario, which at this point is a 3-player scenario, so you can bring a few friends along or just get matched up randomly. I would have liked to see this on a bit of a bigger scale than just 3 people, but there's always a chance that's going to change later on down the line. You report directly to Saurfang, who tells you the battle up above has already started, and spies have infiltrated the tunnels of the Undercity. It's our job to clear out the spies to make sure the Undercity is safe. After that's done, you're assaulted by the Druids of the Claw. It's interesting to see Druids taking sides in this conflict. I wonder if that's just for convenience or if it will be expanded upon later. After dealing with the rest of the spies and the Druids, you're tasked with evacuating the Undercity and getting the civilians to safety. We secured the tunnels and the mage quarter already, so just telling the civilians to head for the portals is more than enough. After you get the civilians out, a portal opens up to the surface where you can join in the battle proper. Teleporting into the courtyard, you get a little speech from Sylvanas and Saurfang to rally the troops for the coming battle. It looks like we've amassed a pretty sizable army here, lots of foot soldiers, a handful of heroes, and most of our faction leaders are present. After Saurfang's thundering speech, the doors fling open and our army marches out to meet the Alliance. To progress, you just have to kill a bunch of Alliance, which is most of this event so far. Everything is tied to the percentage completion bubbles like world quests or bonus objectives, so kill enough stuff and you move on to the next section. After you break the Alliance's front lines, it looks like we might get a cinematic because the screen flashes black, and the next part involves defending our super special Azerite war machine. So maybe a cinematic showing this bad boy rolling up on the Alliance, destroying everything. After defending the war machine from 3 separate waves of attacks, the screen goes black again and the Azerite war machine gets destroyed, so maybe another cutscene to show that happening. It might involve the Alliance gaining a few reinforcements, because right after that we resort to the Blight to keep the Alliance forces at bay. You can pick up a gas mask and a Blight spreader and go to town, spreading the Blight as far as you can. You actually do spread the Blight on the ground too, which I thought was really cool. You push the Alliance almost all the way back. You can also save Horde soldiers who wandered too far out without a mask, and there's an interesting conflict between Saurfang and Sylvanas, where Saurfang says we should be taking care of our own, make sure our soldiers are okay, while Sylvanas is just frothing at the mouth, wanting to slaughter everything and everyone. After you complete this section, there's a placeholder cutscene, so this might be one of the more important cinematics. It seems like the Alliance pushed us back quite significantly because we're now inside the keep and Saurfang has gone missing. But this situation plays right into the Horde's hands. Nathanos takes the remaining forces and gets ready to intercept the Alliance army at a bottleneck to give the Horde a huge advantage. Everything is on the table, our forces, our heroes, a good amount of blight just because we can, and the Alliance walk right into it. It's looking like an easy victory for the Horde here. We have the greater numbers and a chemical weapon ready to deploy. But then the Void Elves make an appearance and suddenly things don't look too hot. The Horde is pushed back further and further until Sylvanas calls the retreat. The screen cuts to black once again, so probably another cinematic or cutscene. As we're running for our lives, Sylvanas covers our escape by destroying container after container of blight. This doesn't look planned at all, no sir, total coincidence that there's just enough containers to cover our escape. Yeah, right. Sylvanas was clearly ready to sacrifice Lordaeron before letting the Alliance take it from her. Getting back to the courtyard, you can see there's plenty of blight left to contaminate this entire area. I think she would rather have the Undercity be destroyed than fall into enemy hands. After a little chat with Saurfang, where he expresses his displeasure with Sylvanas' tactics and the use of the blight, he stays behind as we head into the throne room to witness the grand finale. And then it cuts to what I would assume is the cinematic of what happens next to finish out the battle for Lordaeron. We know everyone important makes it out alive, including us, and that the Horde somehow loses the Undercity. We did evacuate downstairs. Does that mean Sylvanas literally just blows the whole thing up, or does she contaminate everything with a huge blight bomb? I guess we'll have to wait and see, but we know the Horde don't necessarily win this round. Alright, let's flip the coin and see the battle from the Alliance point of view. Most of it happens in the same way and at the same time, but there's a few differences which might explain some of the missing parts. You get the quest in the same manner, head down to the docks and set sail for Lordaeron. Once there, you report to Gen Greymane and join the main forces of the Alliance as they begin their assault on the Undercity. The first part is just killing Horde soldiers while protecting the siege towers, so rank up those kills to 100% completion and you move on to the Azeroth war machine. Instead of waves of enemies, this time as the Alliance you just have to destroy it. Honestly, the Azeroth war machine looks way cooler from the Alliance point of view. It didn't really seem to do much while you were playing Horde. Take that down and there's a missing cinematic before the Horde starts blasting you with blight. Anduin projects an immunity bubble around him, so stick with him and you should be fine. This section was actually pretty difficult to survive through while killing enough mobs to get your required percentage, but again if you stick with Anduin it makes it a lot easier. After this section is dealt with, you're teleported to just inside the walls of Lordaeron, so something must happen between you getting pushed back by the blight and then being able to not only rally, but also manage to flip the battle on its head and push all the way through the outer walls. This is also the first time you see Jaina in this scenario, so it probably had something to do with her joining the fray with a few well-placed blizzards. The Alliance then has to fight their way past a Windseeker chap who pushes you around a lot and is just generally very annoying, and then you make your way into the bottleneck to deal with the majority of the Horde army. Running into this area might seem like a suicide mission until the Void Elves pop in and give you all a few spider tanks to use. Seriously, these spider tanks are overpowered. It's no wonder the Alliance won this section of the battle. After annihilating the Horde forces in this area, there's a skip where I would assume a cutscene plays, probably showing the Horde retreating and Sylvanas using the Blight, and then the Alliance stands around talking for a little bit about how to get past it. Anduin asks to use a few gnomish copters to fly over it, and away you go. The Horde is lucky we waited until now to bring in some flying machines. There's quite a few Alliance waiting for us in the courtyard, as well as Saurfang. It looks like even though he isn't too happy with how Sylvanas is running the Horde, he still isn't in the mood to lay down his arms, so you get a chance to knock some sense into him. Just don't get too close or you pretty much instantly die. Saurfang is defeated and then taken away to the Stormwind Stockades, where the Horde will try and rescue him a little bit later, but the Alliance moves forward, chasing after Sylvanas. Then once again, the grand finale happens, except we have no idea what that actually means or involves. So Saurfang is taken away, but everyone else seems to make it out unscathed. No one gets crushed by falling towers or keeps, no one seems to be ill or afflicted with something due to the blight. It makes me think the casualties will be foot soldiers only here, but I'm still incredibly excited to find out what this big finale is. The Horde won't be using the Undercity anymore in Battle for Azeroth. Story-wise anyways, you'll still be able to go there if you want to, but it's going to be phased. But that doesn't mean that the Alliance get a new capital city. Sylvanas is totally going to blow the place to pieces, or at least make it inhospitable for the Alliance. If we can't have it, neither can you type of deal. That being said, Sylvanas and Nathanos don't seem particularly happy with the outcome. Maybe they had hoped for an easy victory, but were forced to play their last trump card. They didn't really want to, but they were left no choice. I don't know, I'm excited to see how this all ties together with the missing cutscenes and what happens at the end of this battle, but we probably won't get to see the full event until it's on live servers, so we have a little bit to wait. But that's it for the Battle of Lordaeron event from both the Horde and Alliance point of view. I wouldn't be surprised if both the Horde and the Alliance lost a massive chunk of their standing armies in this battle, from the open warfare at the start, the use of the Blight to push the Alliance back, and then the Horde getting decimated in their little bottleneck. That's got to be a lot of lives lost. Obviously it won't be players' lives, but I would love to see some reference to us losing a lot of our army or power while trying to win over our new allies. I want this kind of event to have a lasting impact and not just be a one-off thing at the start of the expansion. What do you think of the event so far? What could that grand finale be? Leave all your thoughts in the comments section below. A big thank you to all of our supporters over on Patreon. If you want to hop on that train, you can find a link in the description below. Remember to leave a like just below the video before you leave, and if you want to see more, make sure to subscribe. But apart from that, thanks for watching folks, good luck and have fun, and as always I will see you next time.